Alrighty, and we are live. Welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday, December 28th. If you're going to be joining us live, or you may be watching this at a later time and date. My name is Tiffany Hill Cook, and I run a spiritual practice called the Healing Hills. So, thank you so much for joining us. Today, I have a special guest. Her name is Nee. And this is my first time actually meeting her. I was connected to Nee through a mutual friend, through Janice Stoliarova. And today's live is specifically going to be a channeled reading. And I would like to save some time at the end to talk to Nee about, how she connects with spirituality. And, just again, it's going to be intuitively guided. So thank you so much, Nee, for joining us. And would you like to introduce yourself, maybe say a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me here today. Yes, I'm Nee, and I just graduated from college and looking for a job right now. So that's going well for me on that end. I live in New York City, and I took dream interpretation class. That's how I met Janice too. And I met really wonderful people in the program there. So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. And before we started this live, I told Nee if her dog barked or what have you, it's totally fine. I can tell that somebody is at my door right now. I'm not going to answer the door, but my dog's barking. So, all right. Well, I'm going to get into the reading. I did connect already. And I will say your guides, they showed up earlier today when I was at the gym. And then they showed up yesterday when I was sending that confirmation email to you. And so when I say that your guides showed up, for anybody that's listening, is I could they were present in my energy, and they were trying to give me some messages. And so what I do, let's say you are a channel, or you are starting to practice your spiritual gifts, and sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. Like, do I have control over this? And you can just tell them that you're not working right now, or to come back in a little bit. So that's what I did. The information that was coming through, and you did share a little bit, I didn't know that before, is around the fact that you just graduated. Congratulations. That's a huge
Thank you.
milestone for anybody to do. And so I'm proud of you. You should be proud of yourself. The information that's coming through, there's a couple of things. And where do we want to start, Spirit? We'll start here. So I don't know what you went to school for, and that's not even necessarily important for me to know. But what I'm getting is that there's a little bit of, the word they're using is torn, that you're torn a little bit. And when I say torn is, um, you just got this degree, and at the same time, this other aspect of yourself has started to blossom, has started to flourish, and they don't necessarily overlap. And when I say they don't necessarily overlap, at least from your perspective currently, the degree you got and this expression that your soul is starting to make, they're almost taking you on two different paths. Would you agree?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And so, and then not only do you perceive two paths presented, there's also this influence that I'm getting from family and even society around what your next step is going to be, or what that should look like. And then there's the one that Nee wants to do, and you may not even have the exact image of what that looks like, but um, you when you are, let's say, talking about your future, I'm getting specifically family members, maybe mom or dad, um, but is that it's almost like you kind of get a feeling inside of you that, let me describe the feeling, like something's wrong. Like, as they're talking about your future, something inside of your heart space is like, something doesn't feel quite right. Have you ever been in a relationship before that you knew it was supposed to be ending, but you didn't know how to end it necessarily? You start having that feeling inside of your stomach, or maybe inside of your heart, that nothing really bad happened, but it's kind of like something is out of alignment. Do you know that? Does that feeling make sense to you?
Yeah, that feeling makes sense to me. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you know what that feeling is?
Uh, like I see those people around me. Like I'm in New York City, right? So the people around me, they're very much embedded in the hustle culture and the rat race. So I see that's like pushed by society,
Yeah,
and that's not something that I want.
yeah,
So that's why I'm trying to forge my own path.
yeah. That's beautiful. Beautiful awareness. It's exactly right. It's that your soul knows and remembers how who you are versus, I don't want to call individuals lemmings, but maybe living more in a 3D society. And so um, the other information that's coming through right now is, and let me think about how to say this. Um, there's this feeling that there's almost okay. Do you ever watch Alice in Wonderland and the bunny that's at the beginning? He's like, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. There's this energy that I feel when I tap into your energy that you're somehow late to something or you're somehow behind, which is simply just not the case. Like, I don't know if there's a story that you like matured later or that you should be further along on this experience of life, but that I would call would be part of your karma. And karma is it can show up in a variety of ways, but is accepting who you truly are and letting go of who you thought you needed to be. And so there's this idea that you're supposed to be something else or somewhere else when there is nothing wrong. You are exactly right where you're supposed to be. And I do understand that when you start to get more glimpses of the Earth School and why we're here, and that we're not just supposed to like work till we're 65 and retire, you start to, at least I did, it was like I wanted to save the world. It was like I had all of these, I don't want to say grandiose ideas, they're beautiful ideas, but a lot of it was I placed responsibility externally where it was unnecessary. So now they're taking me into your gifts. And so you definitely are your purpose is definitely a spiritual one. Sometimes individuals will have jobs that are, uh, let's say not as spiritually fulfilling, and then they will go home and they'll have a hobby, or it'll be on the weekends that they do this. I definitely see long term that you will have a spiritual practice. There will be some sort of way in which, you know, um, uh, I just found this quote by Albert Einstein, and it said, it's something like, imagination is a wonderful thing. It's a preview of life's upcoming attractions.
Mm.
And so, what I see for you currently is, I don't want to say call it a band aid, but finding, like, I wait tables in the evenings. It's not my life's vocation. I do enjoy the people that I work with, but it's because my spiritual practice isn't quite at a place for me to fully sustain off of it. So what I see for you is, oh, and I saw Amy Pearson is saying hi me. So um, what uh, what I what I would encourage you to do, or what Spirit is encouraging you to do, is be okay. Hold on, it's almost here. I'm going to continue this thought, but they're taking me back to
Okay.
something else first. Something else that would be helpful for you to even have some affirmations around is mistakes doesn't mean failures. There's also this, I'm getting some idea around, like, my everything that I do needs to be perfectly calculated and have a be able to see the perfect outcome. And there's almost like this fear of um, of failure. But here's the beautiful
Yeah.
thing: when you see somebody else fail, the way in which they almost inspire you by their failure, because there's this vulnerability to it, right? And then you see them
That's
get
right.
back up and then they continue. So the beauty is, if you're able to observe that in someone else, you most certainly can apply it to yourself. Because what they want you to do this next chapter is they want you to go try some different things on. And when I say, like, specifically even associated to a job, like, let's say you start somewhere, and again, the spiritual practice piece is going to come. That I see is more going to blossom over some time. And what I
Okay.
mean by that is if, we don't get what we want unless we're ready for it. The universe, won't create those synchronicities for us unless we're quite ready for it. And if this practice was plopped on your lap, you wouldn't quite be ready for it from even a confidence perspective. You're still recalling the power that is innately inside of you, or even I don't want to say the recalling, but you're a healer. And when if you were to start telling people that I'm a healer, there's almost this other side of you that's like, but am I? Or what? How
Mm.
can I possibly help them? And so those are the pieces, the aspect. Here's the thing: you are a fucking healer. And I get as well. I don't know if you have a connection with children, but I definitely see some sort of connection with children associated to your spirituality. I don't know what that looks like. That's just that. Those are the two little nuggets that I'm getting. And so when I say when we loop back to the having the mistakes or trying some different things on is, let's say right now specifically you're applying for jobs that your college degree would align with, and you start working there and you are a week into that job and your boss is terrible, and that's the feeling, right? Your body will
Yeah.
never ever lie to you, but your mind goes, I can't possibly quit this job. I've only been here a week. What maybe there's this idea, this core value that loyalty is important, that your family taught you loyalty is important. Well, maybe it's not that important to you, and that happiness is more important to you than loyalty. And so instead of suppressing your emotions, you say, week one, you say, this job is not for me. Thank you so much, but it is time for me to move on. So that's what I mean around trying and sampling different things. You may
Right.
even want to go do like contract work where you work for something for 3 months with the option to go on even longer. um, because um, what does exist out there is a place where you will find joy and you will find fulfillment. You will find value and being rewarded and expansion, even though it's not going to be your life's calling. So just know that if you're having a feeling inside of you that is alarming you to something, you've got to honor it. You've got to trust it, even though you don't know what the future holds. That is our body's compass, is our feelings. Now, what I will say, I don't know what your relationship is like with your family or with with your parents, but I will say, um, give me a moment. Your decisions are going to confuse them. That's how spirit is describing it, is the way in which you want to move forward isn't necessarily the ways in which they would have moved forward. And the example that spirit's giving is like, you have a job that's got a great salary and you get a 401k and you have weekends off and you work 9 to 5. Well, that's maybe not what you want and isn't what you personally desire. And so just know that boundaries may be important. And when I say
Okay.
boundaries, it may even be that, can I get a good example? Is that I don't want any input from you regarding my professional career. That's a boundary. If you start to give me input around my career, I'm going to, I won't tell you at all what's going on with my professional career. There might be, it may be that, what would be another boundary? If it's not coming from a place of love, or if it's coming from a place of judgment, I don't have capacity for that. And so you start to put up some different boundaries related to the type, the I don't want to say the quality of the conversation, but the type of conversation that's being had. And something that get people confused a lot is that boundaries are in place somehow to control someone else. That's not what
Mm.
boundaries are for. they're in place so I have the ability to control my reaction to your behavior. It's about my controlling my behavior in or my reaction because of your behavior. Um, and the other thing that I do see as well is, hold on, is that gonna come through here? Have you started to? Hmm, have you started to notice a difference in your friendships?
Yes, definitely. I from the program that I enroll into,
Yeah.
Michael's program, I met like really nice friends. Like couple years ago, I lost friends, but I realized like there must have been a reason why I lost those friends because maybe we didn't match anymore. But recently, I was really blessed to find new people.
Yeah, wonderful. That's just what they wanted to bring up is that, and why I don't want to compare your relationship with friends to the same as your relationship with your family. But I just asked them, why did they want me to bring that up around the friendships? Is that the relationship with your parents may augment a little bit. It may change a little bit based off of, well, a couple of things. We grow up, right? Like,
Yeah.
we start by literally relying on for life of our parents. And then we get to a point where we, fly the coop. But sometimes with parents, you're always the child as opposed
Yeah.
to two adults. And so the more freedom that you start to experience, the more authentically you start to live your life, the more that relationship is going to change a little bit as well. Now, what they want you to be careful of, though, is, um, can I get a different word? Okay. So it's just being aware of the different roles that you may be playing. And what I mean by that is like, I didn't want to use this word, but this is the one that keeps coming is, let's say you are, you call your parents daily, or you see that they keep bringing up family, you see them regularly, is it's like you almost put on a mask in order to be around them. They want you to be really conscious of that. And, um, you know, not everybody gets to know and experience every bit of your life. There are like some of my favorite experiences are I selfishly keep just for myself. There'd be no way that you could possibly understand the experience, and when I do share it, it almost muddies it. It almost makes it less special. So I'm not saying that you need to, that keeping things to yourself is somehow wearing a mask or wearing a role, but they just want you to, how would I describe this? They say that you have these moments or there's these spaces that are created where you can just be silly and just be authentically you. And then there's other times where you don't feel the ability to do that. And they would like you to be able to create more spaces where you can be yourself, which you can always be yourself, right? That's
Right.
somewhat of a story. But I get as well that, I'm not living your life, and if I was, I would have made every single same choice that you did. Sometimes people like to point fingers. I would have never done that. If I were you, I would be exactly where you are. And so, just know that the older that you get, no, they don't like that. The more time you spend with yourself, the more comfortable you'll be with yourself.
Yeah.
And the more that you'll start to celebrate those quirks, I call them freak flags, and really celebrate them. And that's like you'll celebrate at them and others. And it's going to happen over time. What they said as well is that you have a thirst for evolving. You have a thirst for evolving yourself and, striving to be the best version of yourself, from a loving and compassionate, joyful, happy place. And so, because I just got a question that's like, well, what should I do with reference to my spirituality? Is there a course I could take? Is there, some sort of book that I should read? Just know that you are psychic, that you are always being
Mhm.
guided by your higher self, So when you're like, yeah, I just magically walked into this bookstore, it's like, no, it wasn't an accident. So your higher self took you. All the world is a stage. You're the writer, the producer, the actor, and the director of your play. And so just know that because of your uh, ferocity, is that a word for your ferociousness towards, um, you know, uh, really towards connecting with your soul, that where to just trust wherever you're being taken to, because it will be for your greatest and highest good. um, I could see you, like, do you ever think about teaching courses to people?
No, I haven't. I'm a bit shy, so I haven't thought
Yeah,
of that.
yeah. Well, you definitely, like, do you ever dream of groups of people in your dreams that maybe are like there for a common purpose? Like,
I did have dreams of group of people, yeah, like
yeah,
more towards spiritual leaders, yeah, in that role.
yeah. Yeah. So what is going to happen in life is there's going to come a moment, kind of like me when I started this going live, is there comes a point where there's this passion that burns so deeply that you've got to find a way to get it expressed. You have to find some sort of creative outlet to express it through. And just know that there's going to come a point in your life where you're going to want to share your energy with people in the form of teaching. And it may not, like, and know that your DNA's never existed before, right?
Yeah,
So there's no one you're going to be able to look at and say, I'm going to go on their path. Your experience is so unique to you. You're an unrepeatable miracle of the universe. And so just know that even the teaching component, it may not look like anything anybody has ever done before. And so it doesn't need to be like sitting in front of a screen like this and talking to mass amounts of people. It doesn't have to be that way. But just, I guess I'm more planting the seed, activating that information in your
yeah.
DNA, um, because it is going to, there's going to come a point where you're going to need to express it as well.
Okay.
Um, let's see here. Can I? Um, Well, they're bringing up your diet for some reason. So give me a moment here. Can I get some information? How much protein do you eat?
Um, like the daily recommendations 5 ounce. I think I barely meet that target.
Okay, that's why they're bringing it up. They would like you to, and it doesn't need necessarily to be animal protein, but they would like, I'm seeing so many vegetables in your diet. So many vegetables, lovely, delightful. They would like, because what they're saying is that there might be times in which your energy levels dip
Yeah.
and you don't quite know why. And they're saying if you had a little bit more protein in your diet, your energy levels would be more stable for you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Especially like through the winters, like, so I'm in the greater Seattle area. It gets really gloomy and I love living here, trust me. But I don't get a lot of sunlight for some months, at least not like the amount that somebody in San Diego would be getting. And so I know for myself specifically during winter months, it's even more important because I don't have the sun to go out and just like get this automatic battery charge from.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and this is something else you're saying is that is there kind of a, I don't want to say, how do I want to use those words? Would you, hold on, it's almost here. Do you struggle to eat animal meat sometimes?
Uh, yes, I was pescatarian
Yeah.
for over 8 years since college, and
Okay.
then I recently turned back to eat chicken again.
Okay. Okay.
But I just feel so guilty for eating
Yeah.
animal meat.
Yeah.
I'm not comfortable.
Yeah. I get that energy. So, there's a few things. So I was vegan for like a year and then I was vegetarian for like 4 years and then pescatarian. And now I eat all the meats. But I can totally identify with that feeling because I've experienced it before. So, what would be helpful, Spirit? Well, the first thing that they're bringing up and this could be, do you say prayer or anything before you do eat? Like, do
No,
you
I
connect with
don't.
your food? Okay, that might be helpful to have gratitude, to get into a state of gratitude. And I made a video about this last year. Why do we say grace before we eat?
Okay.
So get into a state of gratitude, and as opposed to looking at it as like death, observe it as energy. And it's almost like if you light a candle and then that candle lights another candle and another, that candle never dies. And so just know that no one ever really dies. And you can thank that soul for joining you on your journey now. And that energy is now a part of you and lives on in you and allows you to fulfill God's purpose through you. So I don't know if that will switch a little bit of the psyche for you, but to connect with it more as energy and aligning you on your
Yeah.
purpose, like you're on like a mission together, um, and also understanding that um, they're now with God. And so, I mean, there's such a beautiful place, and I
Hmm.
don't even want to call it heaven; just call it the spirit world. And so, I don't know if that would be helpful. Um, or let's see, what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? They just want you to even like, this may not be sustainable, but like in the moment, what sounds good? Okay, that food sounds good. I'm going to go to the grocery store specifically for that versus like shopping for the week. And then you've got this like meat just sitting in the fridge versus, you know, what sounds really good right now is a pork chop. And so you go and you get something that would be just for that meal, as you're repairing that relationship if you want to. Again,
Okay.
listen to your body and trust your body. Because what um, you very well may know this, but if you're eating angrily or you're
Hmm.
eating with guilt, that energy then is going to sit with you because
Yeah.
it's now in the food. And so, and let's say it takes a day or two for that to leave your body, that guilt is now with you, resonating, versus transmuting it, if possible, before it even enters your body. So, let's see here. Oh, we've got. Do you know who Katie R is?
Yes, she's one of my friends.
Oh, okay. She's here. We've got Samantha's here, and then Kim as well. So, okay. What do we have for final? Okay. So the final words that they're wanting to, and you may even like uh, rewatch this to write this down, is they
Okay.
want you to know how special you are. And I feel some
Oh,
emotion coming because I think that there's a part of you that feels like you're banal or that you exist everywhere. And that is simply just not the truth. You are so magical and you are so beautiful, and they're even saying sexy. So just know that as well, that you are beautiful and you are sexy and you are feminine, and you are special, and that
thank you.
um, your existence on this earth is special. And so, um, you know, uh, who you are is going to be different than anybody else. And that's what makes you so special. And so they just really want you to celebrate. Like, I don't know if you have a silly laugh, like, but they're even like making kind of like the way that you laugh might like be silly to somebody else. I'm using air quotes, but like laugh, like however you want to laugh. Like, I don't know if you have a
Yeah.
snort or some sort of like breathing, like they're making me sound, it's
Like, yeah, I have a pig snort laugh when I really get into it.
cool. That's what they're saying. They're like that she even like sometimes like minimizes the way that she laughs. Like like let it all out. Who fucking cares about anybody else? They're so consumed and concerned with their own like image anyway. Um
Yeah.
they would like you to this is, again, if you feel called to this, but like to have a journal where you start to write down your dreams. Oh, and when I say dreams is um, like, so I came into my house yesterday and I was like, oh, so I live out of my RV and I was like, oh, I would love a bath. And I immediately wrote it down because I'm like manifesting my next place right now. And I'm like, it's going to have a nice bathtub in it. And so when you are out and about, again, these ideas come into our head, write down these dreams, because you may not
Okay.
realize it, but they're breadcrumbs that actually connect you to your life's purpose. And so, um, if it's like, again, whatever that dream is for you, start to write them down, because nothing is impossible, anything is possible. And it's just our ability to, like, that's one of the biggest lessons that I'm learning about earth here, and one of, like, the biggest lessons to learn is how to manipulate energy, and specifically in the form of creating. We create
Okay.
things here with the form of energy, whether it be, I mean, that our thoughts become things, not just some thoughts and not just the good ones, but the bad ones too. And so they want to start, um, have you starting to be more aware of that.
Okay.
Um, let's see here. What else? They just love you so, so much. Imagery wise, I'm getting like 3 or 4 main guides that you have. I'm not seeing their image, but more of a shadow of them. And 3 of them are taller, and one of them is a little bit shorter. Um, can I? Yeah, that's not about all I'm getting, imagery wise. So, but they obviously can tap on different, like, let's say you're in a relationship and there's a certain aspect of it, they can call in other guides that will help you, momentarily. So, and I think it's Rada. I think that's how you pronounce her name.
Yes, that's
Yes,
her. Yeah, another my friend. Yeah, I told them to come watch my live, so
I
they're all showing up for support.
Cool. That's beautiful. All right. Well, we're at a half an hour. It goes so quickly,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Is there like a burning question, that you would like to ask your guides, before we say, I let them go?
Uh, yeah. That's like, yes, it ties in with my mental health struggle.
Okay.
So, I am seeking professional help on the side, so that's fine. But the thing is, I had mental breakdown 2 years, 3 years ago, and then I had the psychosis and got hospitalized in the psych ward for it. But I've been on pills since then. So I'm just wondering if they see a future in me where I'm not, relying on pills, where I'm solidary and sovereign enough and strong enough to be like without pills. Yeah.
Um, uh, Thank you for sharing that part of that
Yeah.
dimension of yourself. Um, I do see that. Where I see the disconnect in your, and why you even ask that question is because
Yeah.
there's a thread of truth to it, right?
Yeah.
Like, that yourself. Um, I Where I see the disconnect in your, chakras in your energetic
Okay.
body. So our top 3 chakras are our spiritual side, your crown, your third eye, your throat. And then your bottom 3, your root, your solar, your sacral, and then they meet in the heart. And so a lot of times, and this is where spirituality gets a bad rap, is you have these super open, conscious people, but they're not rooted in the human experience.
Yeah.
They're not, their root chakra is closed, or again, maybe they don't feel supported, there's fear. Again, it's these bottom chakras that are more closed, and these are the ones that, like, at age 2 your root chakra is essentially developed, and then they're like the first to develop and close. And so what will be the more grounded, why I share that is, the more grounded you can be in this human experience, the more the need for the medications is going to go away.
Okay. That's
And
good to
so,
hear.
yeah, and even like the more comfortable you feel with yourself, the more, like, all of those, and I would say, is it more masculine or feminine? um I'm getting well, I'm not getting a clear answer. I'm getting that the part of it is, um that the world can be kind of overwhelming
Okay.
in the existence of life. It can just be a little bit over, and it's such a heavy density here, right? Like, this is a
Mhm.
really heavy experience. I've been reading a lot of Dolores Cannon lately. And if y'all haven't checked out Dolores Cannon, she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But she's like, the Earth school is the hardest school. It's like the last one that we go to. And when we sign up for it, souls say you must be really brave because you don't get to leave the Earth School until you've passed it all. And so, to answer your question, uh, I do see a future without them.
Okay.
Trust yourself, because part of it is the ego as well, and getting the ego to quiet more. These thoughts around, I had an ego death in 2020, and
Okay.
Eckhart Tolle has had one of them as well. He actually describes it in one of his books, but and his lasted all night. Mine only lasted a few hours. He spent a whole night toying with the fact of committing suicide,
Oh,
and mine was only a few hours. But I knew that I didn't want to kill myself. I'd never had that thought before in my entire life. But what the aspect of my ego that was dying, or it was trying to make itself bigger, was that I was crazy.
mm,
And I'd always had but there was this seed planted in me as a child that I was crazy, that my mother could manipulate the ways in which my behavior was crazy, unwarranted, unreasonable. And so I there was sometimes we go to counseling for years. I had healing in a moment, and so why I bring that up is there's an aspect of your ego that tells that was created to protect yourself, right? That's how the ego operates, is out of some sort of
right.
fear. But you're not broken. God doesn't make any junk, and there's nothing wrong with you. But the ego has a little bit of a story associated to that, which you're going to be healing, and that's going to work in tandem with the shedding of the medications.
Okay.
Yeah. And
That's good.
obviously I'm
Yeah.
not a doctor, like
Yeah. Yeah.
continue what you're currently doing.
Right.
But how they're describing it is that, albeit you may not have these same tendencies or uh, these extreme, manifestations of your personality, but it kind of numbs you a little bit too. That's
It
what I get.
does.
It's like a little foggy. So it's like if Earth is already dense, you feel even heavier. And so, um, trust yourself, trust your body, continue to allow yourself to be guided intuitively. But I do see future state, even at like within a few years of um, you transitioning off of those medications.
Okay. Good to hear. Thank you for the guidance.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Well, if this is okay to switch gears, I'd like to take like 10 minutes to just get to know you. Um, how did you start to like connect with your soul and know that you had one and wanted to learn more about it?
Yeah. So I guess long story short is I went through trauma and was in so much pain that I disassociate from my body and not my um, emotions before the pills, and then uh, at some point, I guess the mental breakdown it just led me to realize like there's got to be more than just my physical body. So that's how I reconnected with my soul, because I was seeing all the people around me and they might have everything that they wanted materially, but I saw that in their eyes it was like an empty kind of living.
Mm,
So that's why I like sought to like connect with myself.
mm. So this information that just came through, and I don't know if you connect with writing, like if you write at all, but
Yeah.
part of the way in which you may teach others is through writing and the sharing of your story, because your story is very powerful. It
Thank you.
really is, and that you choose every day to show up and continue loving yourself. That's so beautiful. I'm moved by that story. Like that
Thank you.
inspires me sincerely. Um, let's see here. Um, what has been for you? Like, what has been one of your favorite avenues to learn about spirituality?
Yes, so recently I told you about the Michael Sheridan's mentorship program. So, with the group of people, amazing people that I met, we practice analyzing our dreams and also channeling. So that was a wonderful process to connect with spirit and meet these and grow with along with these people.
Yeah, yeah. It's It's amazing. That's one of my favorite parts of every day is who do I get to meet today?
Yeah.
Whether it's just like most of them are just brief interactions, but they're so beautiful to me and lovely. I love that. I love learning. I love getting my dreams. That's one of my favorite things going to bed every night, especially the
Yeah.
ones that show my spiritual gifts because they're normally really, really cool. And so I love that. What would you say if there's somebody watching this right now that is struggling with their mental health?
Mm.
What would you say to them in this moment? What would you want them to know?
I would say like get safe first, get in a safe environment first, and then do look out, seek help because a lot of time some people are just not willing to admit that this like they need help, so they deny themselves that help. But if they do reach out, whether in form of a therapist or more spiritual healing, these are good venues to get help. There's no shame about it.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Yes, 100%. Um, would you, let's see here, what other kind of question do I want to leave? Okay. What is like your favorite book? Do you have a favorite book?
Yes. Let me think.
Okay.
I like the Untethered Soul by Michael Singer.
Yeah.
That was one of my first spiritual books because it explained about the ego and how our mind operated and how we can get back to our heart. So it described a more wonderful way to live life.
Yeah. I need to reread that book. The one thing that I remembered from that book was that the ego essentially is just chirping at us to tell us what is. Like, I'm cold. I'm cold. It's cold. Like if you're outside and it's a cold environment, it's like your ego is just constantly reminding you of what is present in the moment, which is really not necessary. Is that kind of
Right.
one of the things of the like I
Yeah,
was
it was part of it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Alrighty. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. For because what people don't realize is so how my gifts work is I actually step into your energy. Gifts work in all
Okay.
different ways. And so if you weren't as open as you were today, the message wouldn't have come through like it did. And so I just want to say thank you for sharing your light and being vulnerable and inspirational and aspirational. Um, we all have a story to share, and we have no idea how it can influence another person. And so I just want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, I also want to say thank you for letting me have this channel reading with you. I learned a bit, especially the diets. I keep getting the same message, but I haven't done anything about it.
Yeah. And that's okay. And here's the thing is you're not doing anything wrong, but yeah, like you would just feel better if you could
Okay.
connect to the food a little bit differently.
Okay.
And then your energy would be a little bit different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everybody who joined today. And just a gentle reminder, I'm going to be live this Sunday. Bring a pen and a journal. I don't know if you're anything like me. When I get a new journal, it's like I just feel like a child. It's like endless opportunities. But what we're going to be doing specifically, it's going to be a New Year's Eve. I created an exercise around manifestation and walking us through an exercise around really getting clear on what does it look like, what does it feel like, what is 2024, or we can even go future state because I have a little meditation that I'm going to do with us as well. So that's this Sunday. I believe it's at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard time. And every Thursday, the intention is to have a live reading here. So if you're interested in being read by me, in the description below this video should be a link to my website and fill out a contact submission form. And let's have you join next time. What time, Kim? Are you talking about for the New Year's Eve is going to be at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and then the channeled readings. No, I lied to you. 11 o'clock is going to be the New Year's Eve, Pacific Standard Time, and then the readings are at noon on Thursdays. So You're so welcome. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And we'll see you next time.